Well, something, something. So February 1st, 2004, Super Bowl halftime show featuring Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. Something happened that changed the entire landscape of the entertainment world. You might remember the wardrobe malfunction when Janet Jackson's breast came out. Now, it was a internationally watched event. Everybody in the world saw it. Matter of fact, to date, it is the most requested. It's the most requested video in history. The day after that wardrobe malfunction, television and live broadcast, radio and television changed forever. As a matter of fact, television immediately inserted a tape delay. That tape delay from that Janet Jackson incident is why when the slap happened with Will Smith and Chris, that you couldn't see it on the American feed. You had to see it on either the Italian or the Australian or Japanese, on a foreign feed, because it was not allowed to be seen here because of the tape delay. Radio has a dump button. So the minute I or someone like me says something, you never get to hear it. Because not only that, because of the Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake wardrobe malfunction, there was also a punitive aspect added by the FCC, where if there was an incidence of violence, if there was an incidence of profanity, if there was an incidence of nudity, that you could be charged $250,000 for each complaint. And to date, at the Oscars, where Will slapped Chris, has had 70 complaints, FCC complaints. So those complaints, if they're found to have merit, could be 70 times 250,000. I have 75 affiliates. If I say something based on what happened, because of what happened with that wardrobe malfunction, that could be 250,000 times 70. Now, this was unintended. Nobody planned for it to happen or to have these long-range implications, but it did. The entertainment world sat on its axis and changed that day because of a wardrobe malfunction, because of something unintentional that people watched, something unplanned that people watched. A lot of people saw it. Contrast that with what happened on the Oscars a little over a week ago. Now, it wasn't intended, but a lot of people saw it. A lot of people saw what happened, and it is changing things as we speak. Comedy is changing as a result of that. I think as a result of that, you will always see security at the events, at the award shows. You will always see people taking steps they didn't before, which is a direct consequence of something unintended that everybody saw. The other unintended consequences, it is making people believe that they can walk on stage and slap comedians if they say something they don't like. As a matter of fact, I had my first gig this weekend. One of the things my agent did was to call me and say, the security guard, they're going to be extra security at the clubs. You're playing venues, they're going to be extra security. Now, I've always had security, but now, as a result of that unintended consequence, the unintended consequences is that people have gotten the message that if you don't like something a comedian says, you get to walk on stage and slap them. It has made the job more dangerous. And comedy, let's be clear, was already under assault. There was an air of political correctness that inhibited a lot of people saying things. A lot of people were hesitant to go out because something they said or did on stage could be then showed up to the rest of the world and cause them to get canceled on any number of circumstances. So it already had its challenges. But this has made it more dangerous. More dangerous. That slap, the unintended consequences is that now it has made comedy more dangerous. More. Now, I certainly don't know if it'll last as long as the wardrobe malfunction, the replications of that. But right now, it is present. And it's interesting because Will Smith is one of the biggest stars in the world. Not because of rap, but because of his ability to make people laugh. It wasn't rap that got him here. It was his ability to make people laugh. He was likable and he made people laugh. Comedy has survived everything. It was under assault, I think, from the era of political correctness. Social media had a hand in it. It was under assault, but this thing has made it harder. Comedy, I believe, is the greatest art form that ever existed. Laughter is the best medicine. It can actually heal things. It is an old August art form. It has been around since the days of kings and queens. And comics, jesters, used to be served at the pleasure of the king. And if they made him laugh, they lived. If they didn't, they died. That is why, oh man, I died on stage. It comes from that very thing. So now, because of an unintended thing, a thing that everybody saw. One of the unintended consequences is repercussions is that people feel as if that is an appropriate response to something you don't like. Hearing something you don't like means I can walk on stage and physically assault you. They think that. Because by and large, a lot of Americans said, oh yeah, that's fair. You should be able to do that. A lot of people said, well, that's what happens when you. So somebody who benefited from comedy made it more dangerous. Somebody who, as a matter of fact, when I was on Fresh Prince, I was his warm-up. He liked what I did so much, he gave me an episode. That episode was about him becoming a comic and me being one. He loved comedy, but it's more dangerous now because of that act. That unintended consequence of that act made it more dangerous to do the thing he loved for people. Artists now, I've talked to several comedians. They don't want to go out anymore. Before that, it was because of political correctness. This now is because of violence. Isn't it something that an art form that has survived everything? It's survived being beheaded by the king. You could die if you didn't do what the king, if you didn't please the king, you didn't make him laugh, you could die. We survived serving at the pleasure of the king. We were navigating political wokeness, political correctness, and now we're in jeopardy because of a Fresh Prince. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.